Hello and welcome to Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth 2, replay number 22. This is a special one, The Rise of the Witch King. A little different from normal. I have a few replays from this, and I literally mean a few. So let's watch one, shall we? This is on patch 2.01, which is patch been applied, loading a replay from previous patch may no longer work. I have never unpatched this game. Like, it's always been 2.01, so I don't know why it's saying that. So hopefully this works just fine. I haven't played 2.02. I believe that's out now. I haven't played that yet because I don't really play Rise of the Witch King. Some things seem a little bit more imbalanced than normal, as far as I can tell from playing a little bit. Like, there's super cavalry units that can destroy fortresses in like seconds. It's a little overpowered, but that's not what this is about. This is a 4-player free-for-all on whatever map this is. I don't remember. But yeah, we have a, let's see. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. That is Mordor in the bottom left. We have the Long Con in the top left as the dwarves. We have Stevio Super as dwarves in the top right, and myself as Angmar as Destroyer, as per usual, in the bottom right. I probably already said that. But yeah, Angmar is a cool team. Like, I really like the design of Angmar. They have farms like normal, whatever. But their Thrall Masters are very cool. Like, it summons a little guy, as you'll see later on, that can summon a battalion of whatever you choose. And he leads that little battalion. But if he dies, that little summoner, the whole battalion dies. So it's a trade-off. And the guys are pretty weak. The guys he summons are very weak. It's kind of like summoning a goblin horde, more or less, or an orc horde. Maybe a little better, maybe a little worse, I'm not sure. There's a hero named Haldir, I believe, that works well with Hillman. He summons Hillman, the Thrallmaster, by the way. You can also summon orcs and org riders, I believe. This is a hero that's added to the dwarves in this faction, expansion. Prince Brand, Captain of Dale. So he's a pretty decent archer hero. Things are also different. This is more like patch 1.0 in a way. Like the range you can build walls is more like 1.0. It's pretty far. It's probably like out to here or something. Something insane. You'll see that later, because I think I remember this game a little bit, even though I played it a long time ago. I just haven't played many of this, so I remember them. I build a wall at some point. This is a no rules game. I do have Rogash. Rogash is a troll hero who has very choppy animations. I mean, when you watch him walk, it looks really odd. They didn't animate him very well, but who cares about that? He has an AoE cleave when he attacks, so he's very destructive when he fights armies. I believe he still has the weakness to pikes like trolls, but he has the ability to take control of trolls, which is pretty powerful if you're facing a team that uses trolls. In this patch, Axlors are still 250, Manadale are that much. You know, level 2 archery range to have fire arrows. And also there's Dwarven Zealots. Dwarven Zealots are very tough. It's basically summons... I don't remember how many come out in a battalion, but it summons a bunch of Gimlis that are weaker. It's crazy. This guy's using fire bombs. This is a no rules game, so he can use fire bombs if he wants. GameRanger frowns upon fire bombs normally. And here's the Thrallmaster, if you've never seen one before. This is the guy that summons him right here. And see, when he dies, his entire battalion falls dead. So you gotta be careful the way you position your troops. But they're dirt cheap. You could literally spam them if you had a bunch of these things. And Angmar has great potential for spamming, I feel. But that's not their really only strength. Black Numenorians, they're swordsmen, I believe. They're pretty strong. They have a charge. Dark Rangers are the strongest archers in the game, I believe. I watched someone's video recently where they pit like a full army of Dark Rangers against full army of all the other kinds of Rangers, like one-on-one. And Dark Rangers just mop the floor with every type. Every type. Mirkwoods, Arthilians, it didn't matter. So they're pretty insane. A bit imbalanced, actually, but, you know, that's this patch. I'm sure patch 2.02 is a little better than this patch for balance and whatnot. Yeah, I'm trying to build a tower here. I'm being attacked by the dwarves. But you see the cleave coming into effect. He is dying. I will have to retreat. And there's the Thrall Master with no troops. Probably the most useful unit in the game. But I can summon axe throwers, I can summon orcs, I can summon pikemen, orc warg riders, and I think that's it. So it has a decent selection of things. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it has 4 things it can summon. So it's a cool, versatile unit. It's like if you need pikemen, turn them into pikemen. If you need axe throwers, turn them into axe throwers. It's neat. That's what I'll say. Mordor in this expansion are very cool. They have a new unit type, Black Orc Warriors. Strong orcs, like not like these crappy little guys, but orcs that can actually be upgraded with weapons and armor, and they're very tough. Also, you can't see it, but 2 of the Nazguls have been turned to mounted, like a Nazgul Fellbeast. They've been mounted on Fellbeasts, but they can dismount off of Fellbeasts, so I think they lose 2 Nazgul or something, but they gain, and their 2 Fellbeasts become the Nazgul. It's odd, but it's cool. It allows them to dismount, and you'll definitely be playing Mordor differently if you do that. Also, they have Corsairs of Umbar come from the Haradrim Palace, which is very odd. And they also have Haradrim Lancers, which are cavalry. Believe it or not. Mordor cavalry. This is, as per usual, same stuff. And then you saw the Dwarven Zealots already. Not much too different with the dwarves, honestly. They're dwarves, they do their dwarf thing. Looks like I got some Black Numenorians. So we can look at their abilities here. So they get charged, just like Dwarven Guardians do. He doesn't have any, but if he did, I could show you. I also have Haldir, who is built around Hillmen. So any Hillmen summoned by these Thrallmasters, like these are Hillmen, technically. Rudar, Axors, anything from Rudar is a Hillman, I believe. So he gives 20% damage and armor to them. He also steal resource when they're near, so he gets pillage or whatever it is. And he has the ability to summon hordes of Hillmen, which is really good. I like that ability a lot. Rogash, I didn't show the rest of him. He has Leap, which is just like Gimli's Jump. And Rage of the North, which is Berserk, more or less. Boost in armor and damage. And here is the... Oh, I didn't finish showing these. I'm just showing this off for people who haven't played this expansion for whatever reason. They have Death Mask, which is kind of like the Nazgul ability. Suffers damage, though. They have armor, weapons, banner carriers, so the usual stuff. This team has, instead of fire arrows, they have ice arrows. So it's the same thing, but I mean different. They have long shot as well. And they also have Death Mask, so just your army in general is very good at decreasing attack of enemy armies. And there you see how weak weak pikemen or cavalry things. But I managed to group a bunch of guys together and just hit them, so that killed many. But my army is quite inferior here. I'm not doing so well, if I'm perfectly honest. These battle wagons, quite strong. And since he has banner carriers, I'm not sure if they retain the... Since this is more like patch 1.00, they might retain the giant attack buff that banner carrier... Yeah, the banner carrier had on battle wagons before patch 1.06, which was insane. Like, it circle your fortress and do massive damage. I don't know why that was that way. There's a lot of things about this game that came out. When it came out, it was just seriously imbalanced. It's like, why would that be a thing like that? Could be bug, could be something else, who knows. But I'm in a bad spot here. Here's Mordor's side of things. Mordor also has an orc hero, a new orc hero, which is really cool. He's good with orcs. He buffs orcs, kind of like the Hillman guy does with Hillman. Okay, Mordor decides, Dwarves decide to retreat there for whatever reason. So we will watch Mordor attack dwarves here. And here's the Dwarven Zealots, as I was talking about earlier. Looks like 4 little Gimlis, doesn't it? It's essentially what they are. Berserker gang. Zealots gain damage and double attack speed. It's basically Slayer. So they more or less are a bunch of Gimlis, and they have Axlor as well. But they have significantly less life than Gimli, obviously. Yeah, with his towers, he holds off fairly easily against the orc hordes. Hopefully he builds the orc warrior, or the orc hero, so we can see it. Since he's building a lot of orcs, I'm surprised he's not building the orc warrior. Orc hero? Keep calling him orc warrior. I guess he technically is, but not what I mean. I feel that would be a good benefit to him. Also, hero-wise, this team has a little assassin wraith who is pretty good. He also looks really cool. They have Morgamir, which is like a... It's like a... what is Morgamir? I guess he's like a Nazgul, but when he looked like a man. Morgamir is also one of the heroes, the Nazgul, that fly on this team. So he's like man looking on this team, but ghosty, and then he's like Nazgul looking on this. There's also the Witch King, obviously. Witch King is mounted on a horse in this faction. And he has an AoE attack just like he used to. He's very strong. I think that's it. I feel like I'm missing one, but I think that's it. I might be wrong, but I think there might be one more. Possibly not. So King Dane in this, let's see. Does this heal? Yep, this is still a heal. So this basically is patch 1.00 on regular, applied to the expansion. That's what this is. So all these bugs and abilities that were in patch 1.00 are still in 2.01 of Wrath of the Witch King. Hence the reason you get such long range on your walls and all that stuff. All the good things of patch 1.00 and the bad things. So I'm not doing so well, as you can see, but I have started. Because I started getting my upgrades. I have a forge. That's the dark iron forge there. Got a little troll pumping away. Also, I got some, what are these called? Hill trolls. Hill trolls are the pikemen, like the good pikemen of this team. All the good units come from this building, pretty much. The good swordsmen come from right here, and the good archers, but the good pikemen come from here. And these snow trolls, these are the cavalry. They're interesting. They're basically trolls that run at the guys, instead of being like horses or something. They just run at them and stomp them. So they're pretty cool. They're very good as well. They have a charge ability that allows them to just like quickly charge into enemies. Looks like I'm attacking this guy over here. With little hordes of orcs. It's basically orcs on orcs, because I'm summoning Gundabad warriors for my Thrallmasters. Although I don't see the Thrallmasters, which is strange. Since I do have Rogash, who is currently stuck on guys and going to burn to death. Yeah, it turns out he's not very good at walking, so be careful when you put him in the middle of an army. His pathfinding is awful. Well, Mordor just destroyed my army, so that's bad for me. But luckily for me, the dwarves aren't going to attack me this time. They're going to attack the other dwarf, it looks like. So I just have to defend against a bunch of orcs, which in theory isn't too difficult. I do have some guys. I also have a trebuchet. That is the Angmar trebuchet. It's pretty good. It fires ice boulders when you upgrade it. Let's see, they are 600, so it's actually pretty cheap. Quite cheap, in fact, for how good they are. And here is the Witch King. He looks quite cool in this expansion. But his abilities are major reduction of armor and damage, basically Trevisage, Mortal Corruption, Morgul Blade. They're just renaming them for whatever reason. Terrible Fury, he is Fear. He has the exact same skills as the old Witch King, really. Which makes sense, I guess. He is the same guy. So yeah, that not too difficult to clean up those orcs with this. Those are black orcs though. They can still eat other orcs. They get forged blades, armor, and banner carriers, so they're a lot tougher. You could actually legitimately have an army of orcs now that aren't garbage. Although your orc archers are still garbage. Keep that in mind. Like if he was building Haradrim, maybe? I can understand him building orcs if he was if he had the orc hero, but he doesn't have the orc hero. And I really wish he did, so I could show him off. It's too bad. But here I am. It looks like I'm laying a little bit of siege to all his farms, splitting up my troops a little bit to maximize my damage, so he can't defend all these areas at once. And this guy has the ability to summon guys. That must be a... some of these guys must be summoned. That ability combined with like I can summon orcs as a power. That's where those orcs came from. This summons 3 hordes of orcs for you to fight with. So it's like Wild Men of Dunland. Also, they have this Fell Wind that moves all the enemies close together. Really good ability, I feel. If you do that and combine it with the arrow volley, fire arrow volley and then do that, well, it's about to happen. On me, unfortunately. But if you do that and then you do that beforehand, or after, then you'll generally hit every unit in the army because it'll pull them all in one spot. Really good tactic. Angmar have really cool powers, honestly. And here's the cavalry trolls. Here's their charge ability, they gain damage and armor. But you just have them run through the troops. They do good damage. There's a battle up here as well. Looks like the dwarves are fighting some dwarves. But at the moment, I'm more interested in Angmar. Also got some wargs, or wolves, or whatever. I think it's just wolves. Direwolf. Ah, the direwolf. Reminds me of Game of Thrones, which I want to watch. I'm ready for it to come out. I do have a trebuchet here. That could be a problem for him, but he does have attack trolls. Could be a problem for me. I do have the ice shot as well. Look how powerful that was. One shot. I honestly feel, in this patch at least, Angmar is actually a little overpowered. That's just my general, like how I got the feel of them. I just feel like they're strong. And whenever you face a brutal AI, they're just brutally assaulting you with spam. It's a brutal AI Angmar is hard to fight. Not always, but I mean generally. So it looks like that battle ended with Gray retreating. And our battle was done, but I took out quite a few of his slaughterhouses, so I didn't finish a lot of them as well. For some reason I can't even click on that one. Probably because the tree's in the way. No. Whatever. So he does have the mouth. Since this is like patch 1.00 on regular, I'm assuming the Evil Eye pretty much one-shots heroes still. So that might be a thing. So maybe if he hits me a couple times, he might be able to one-shot, like with this amount of life, he might be able to one-shot me. I do like the icons for this Witch King. They look cool. I think he's using Broken Sword as well. That's interesting. I kind of wish this expansion took off a little more than it did. Like, it doesn't seem nearly as popular as just default game, which is understandable because of how imbalanced this is actually, like, in comparison. It seems imbalanced to me. Some of the units are super overpowered. Like, the equivalent of those little Gimlis for the elves is this cavalry. And if they send that your fort, you're pretty much going to lose your fort, from what I can tell. I think I have a replay of me and some guy just losing so hard. And I might put that out, I don't know. But it just shows how strong they actually are. And they're super fast. It's insane. So yeah, there are reasons I stay away from Rise of the Lich King. Not because it's not super cool, but because it's just not super balanced. I mean, there's things about the regular game that aren't super balanced as well, but at least it seems less obvious. But the addition of new units and super cool things, powers and whatnot, I do like. And Angmar as a team is just a cool team. It's an evil team that can build walls with, like, they can build trebuchets and arrow towers in their walls. They're not bad walls. They have a cool fort. Everything about them is just pretty cool. Pretty well designed. Also, a power they have. Summon 2 mountain giants. You thought Summon Ents was bad. Angmar's power list is insane. I'd say that's also a little overpowered as well. Instead of summoning a Balrog, they summon a giant Ice Wolf. I'm not sure if it's actually as good as a Balrog. Actually, I think they summon Balrog and Ice Wolf. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not sure. I'm not sure what their second power is. No, their second power is Avalanche. It's just a giant snow, or hail of snow. But they do have this. They do have summon orcs. You can actually make a pretty good summoned army. If you have Haldir to summon men, you have summon orcs, and then you have these summon giants. You could summon a pretty decent army just out of nowhere, which is pretty interesting. And put that on top of your base army. These trolls are very strong when upgraded armor and weapons. So they're pretty tanky. They're also pretty good pikemen. The archers do good damage. And I think they don't take nearly as much damage from arrows. Kind of like barrage markers. Making them extremely overpowered. But we have whatever his name is, Mordor's Fortress. Going down pretty quick, but my giants look like they disappeared. So he might be alright. Well, maybe they're not as tanky arrows as I thought. I don't know. Well, I do have all my heroes. Not all my heroes, but I have all my heroes that I had alive. And now I do have a wall, so I can just run through there. Close the gate. I doubt I need to against some orcs, though. Chase him off with my Thrallmaster, who has no army with him. For some reason he hasn't summoned a battalion yet, unless that's his battalion. So it looks like I'm starting to fortify my base. I have a wall there. I'm starting to build a wall towards the dwarves. Meanwhile, both dwarves are going at it. This dwarf has a lot of catapults. So yeah, the Grey Dwarf is going to be in a world of hurt here pretty quick. They did manage to get some guardians on the catapults. And it looks like he'll manage to defend his catapults, and he'll probably take this base. Look how little damage he's doing. The Dwarven Fortress from 1.00 was pretty strong, I guess. And the Dwarven catapults are no joke, and this is taking quite a few shots. Double shots, even. They fire 2 catapult shots at once. But Longcon probably will lose his fortress here. Doesn't look like he has the means to actually kill. Well, he did spread a fire. It's possible it may just burn him to death. If he has a rebuild, he's going to need it now. He doesn't have a rebuild. That's kind of smart. If he had a rebuild, he would be set. Although he'd still be losing because he has his little army in front. And it looks like he'll manage to take the fort. I can show off a little bit of Prince Brand, or whatever his name is. Slam shot, causes damage to knock down the enemy. Not so much for that. He has an arrow. We know that much. So yeah, Longcon is looking pretty long for this world. You know what I mean? I do have quite the army here. The only thing really holding me back is these catapult expansions. I guess I don't want to lose any more troops than I have to. What I really need is a trebuchet. I'm working on getting my weapons. So I have weapons, armor, and that ice shot. That will make my army significantly more powerful, as you might imagine. Let's go back up here. Doesn't look like Long Con is dead yet, because he managed to squeeze out a little Hollow Warriors out in the middle of nowhere. A couple of them. I'll keep him alive a little bit. So the enemy will have to hunt him down first before he's able to do anything. There's an outpost here. So there's outposts in this map. Yep, the dwarves have this one, and he has a tower next to it. I am managing to wall off most of this area. That'll make my base much harder to get into. I believe I also have the wall upgrades. Yep, it's like an ice coating. It's more or less what it is. So the dwarves will have to basically siege me in order to get in, unless I block this door, which I probably will right here or something. Not quite sure the range on it. There's my army. Wasn't showing on the map. I can't see it at all. But there is my army. It's decent size. You can see these guys trample trees when they walk because they're cavalry technically. That is level 25 power for them. Avalanche. Summons an avalanche will damage enemies, put out fires. Strange second ability, but I guess it makes sense. And there goes a... What is equivalent to tainted land is frozen land. It's the same thing. Arrow volley taking out a big chunk of my guys there. But I'm sure I have plenty enough to take out this fortress. And it looks like I should be the victor here. And there's a bunch of spearmen summoned from Wildir. Wildir, while not the greatest of fighters, he does give you the pillage and the summon hillman ability, which is really nice, actually. So using him as army support, quite good. So after this Rodron Palace goes down, that should be the last of Mordor, I believe. Got more troops coming out. Things are looking quite good for me. I do still have a summon orcs. I'll keep it on my view for a second, just so I can hear him talk a little bit. They make more unit sounds when you're observing this specific player. You have, these guys are really strong. They're kind of like half-troll marauders, more or less. But yeah, whatever that guy's name is has been defeated. Mordor's dead. So it's basically me versus Long Con actually managed to build another fortress here. Interesting. It's basically me versus the dwarves though. Well, obviously they're both dwarves, but this dwarf in particular, he is the threatening one. He just has to break through a wall and he will be in my base, so I have to be very wary of that. But I do have quite the force now. I say that, but it's actually not that impressive. Level 9 Witch King though. That can't be bad. Level 10 Wildir. Wildar. It's actually Wildar. Okay. So I was getting him mixed with Haldir. Close enough. So I got level 10 Rogash as well. I should probably get my army back to my base. I potentially am probably preparing to siege this guy, but maybe I don't know, he doesn't have a base there anymore. Hard to say. Oh yeah, they also get a power, like a tower power, like Isengard or Mordor, that fires icy, like basically an icy Mordor fireball thing. Does the same thing. They're basically Mordor with ice. Kind of. Witch King's Sanctum Winter's Wrath. It's a very long-winded description. Yeah, I do like the walls. I think their walls look very cool. They definitely look evil. I always wish Mordor had walls, like Black Gate looking walls. And goblins, maybe, since they were strong, like they'd have elven equivalent of walls, like defense-wise, that were just like a bunch of logs next to each other, or a bunch of mud or stone or something crappy, you know? I think that would have been cool. But I understand not giving some teams walls is a design decision that I can respect, because I think goblins' walls would be super overpowered. Mordor with walls potentially as well. I can respect their decisions not to get walls to certain teams. Although Angmar kind of feels like one of those teams that you probably shouldn't have gave them walls. Because they have like the best of every world. They have the archers of the men. They have half-troll marauders, basically, of goblins. And goblin spam, or orc spam, of those two teams. And their heroes are just great. All of them, pretty much. So I just think Angmar is all around strong. This looks like I'm moving back to my base. Probably a good idea. Meanwhile, dwarves, blue dwarves are going to probably try and finish off gray dwarves here. And I'd imagine with that force, he probably will succeed. Just a big clump of dwarves. Yeah, Stevio's army is victorious there. Oh, there he is again. He has train archers and beast slayers, cause severe damage to beast, I guess. So that's interesting. I like the fact they give an archer hero to the dwarves, who generally don't have any range hero kind of thing, except for a Gimli axe throw, which is once in whenever. Yeah, this might be the end of Longcon. Yep, Longcon has been defeated. And looks like I summoned some orcs to attack his catapults. That's going to cost him a lot of money to rebuild that. I at least got 2,000 worth of catapults. Assuming in this version they are 1,000. No, they're 800. Okay, 1,600 gold. But if they are upgraded, which they are, then that's another 600 or so, I believe. So that's well worth it. And I do have a wall here now, so I am fully protected on all sides by walls. I do like playing with walls, it's very fun. I can understand some games drag on for ages because of walls. And that's why most people in GameRanger won't play with them. Understandable. But in a no rules game like this, I am allowed to do such things. So here he goes, he has to go up against a wall. And he actually summoned some guys behind it. But he has a catapult. They can take good damage though. But he will break it down. Meanwhile, I am sieging his base as well. So he's losing all his frontal buildings. Might be a base raise at this point. I'm not sure. Also, I still have this freezing blast, or I did. Oh. Looks like I used freezing blast to kill his entire army, pretty much. So his forces are cut by a drastic amount. There's some blue barrage for you. That may be because I have a collector's edition copy of the game. Although I don't know if it applies to this game expansion. Almost lost my Witch King, but not quite. And his Dwarven Zealots are trying to kill my Zealots, I mean, not Zealots. I used to call them Zealots. They are trying to kill my Rogash, but they will not succeed. And I have also brought a Giant in. And here you can see very, very little damage that Mountain Giant's actually doing to the Dwarven Fortress. So the tankiness of a Dwarven Fortress in this patch is insane. Look at that. It's gotta be the most defensive building in the game. And he's trying desperately to break back through to get to his base. But I've walled him off from even returning home. Which is kind of funny in a way. Looks like my Giant does disappear. And there's the Rogash Leap, pretty strong. I'm probably going to lose my Rogash. Rogash is extremely good for fighting off these special infantry units that they can build. Normally they're extremely powerful on normal troops. Looks like he finally breaks through and he's able to come defend his own base. But damage has been done. He is missing a lot of stuff. Here comes a King Dane's level 10 power, summon Rogard. Pretty good. Rogash barely manages to get away. And the fortress goes down. There's the Witch King again. So it looks like this game was won by me, potentially. Witch King dies there. But at this point, it may possibly be too late for the other opponent there. I don't think he has the force to take me out now. Rogash won't be able to come into play very well because his health regen is abysmal, as are most trolls. But I should be making a new army here. Yep. So I will have quite a few troops by the time he actually gets over here. And just getting near my fort, I think it has an upgrade that lowers enemy damage and armor while around it. So it's basically a Dread Visage aura around your fortress. Which is very useful. And very strong as well. It's like they have the counter to everything. And they're not unstoppable. I mean, as you can see, they die. Angmar dies like everyone else. But it's just they have really good abilities. Really good troops, really good walls, really good everything, really. And their power set is great. So it's going to be up to Rogash. I haven't really used these guys. They're like mage priest guys. Target areas cover nice, enemy minus speed, trains enemy strength, and gives bonuses. Huh. And there's other researches you can do. I am curious, I might actually like play a game and look at that, because I've never played with these priest guys or whatever they're called. Really cool. Oh, they're dead now. I guess I could look here. They're sorcerers. Okay. Corpse Rain sounds interesting, doesn't it? Looks like I have enough troops and enough summon powers to just stop him dead in his tracks before he gets to my fort. So his army's dead now. And he leaves the game, or dies, one of the two. So that was a pretty good game, I enjoyed that one. Rise of the Witch King can be a lot of fun if you play the right game. Most of the matches online are in GameRanger are like modded, like the Dane mod or something or some other. I don't know. I don't do that stuff. But yeah, anyway, that was something different. I hope you enjoyed that one, and we'll see you in the next replay. Take care.